All right, guys. So before we start, I just want to show you guys exactly how to navigate Procreate because this is going to be your weapon of choice. This is going to be, you need to make this your bread and butter because this will be the only software you will ever need if you are going to create an NFT collection or just art in general from pretty much this point onward. But with that being said, I am not a Procreate wizard. I am not a Procreate aficionado or developer. I don't know every little bit, nor do I use every little thing that Procreate offers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly what I do and the tools and the methods and some of the navigation to help you get some paint on canvas, some ink and sketches onto the canvas, and get some ideas out. So with that being said, let's dive in. Okay, so first off, up here at the top right, we have our color. And this is our color wheel where you can choose your primary, oopsies, where you can choose your primary colors on this top wheel. And then you also have your saturations for that color. So if I go over here and we drag it to the left, I can kind of dilute that color, or I can bring up the vibrancy. I can make it lighter or I can make it darker. And this is just one option on the wheel. But if you go down here to the bottom, you have different variations of the color wheel. So if you don't prefer this, maybe you prefer more of like a classic, almost like a Photoshop kind of vibe, and you can just choose it right from the chart. So from the left down is white to dark, and then you can choose that color and we can get the darker version. Or if you go left to right, it would bring up the vibrancy of that color. This will dilute it, this will bring up the vibrancy. And if you're not familiar or don't feel comfortable picking it just right off the list or off the chart, you can come down here and you can kind of scale through these or slide through these, and you can choose a color you like. And then you can also set the saturation or dilute the saturation. You can also bring up the brightness, and it'll automatically do that for you if you prefer that. Another one I like to use is one called Harmony. Harmony is, in its basic sense, is you choose a primary color, and let's say you're having a hard time picking like a secondary color that would go with it. Like, oh, I want to choose something with blue. What goes with blue? And it's like, oh, maybe this yellowish color looks pretty good and goes with blue. So that little circle is the example of your secondary color that would go with it. So I got red, and that light blue would go with it. Green, that nice purple would go with it. It keeps everything in harmony, as the name suggests here at the bottom, harmony. So that's basically how you would choose your color. So we'll put that back to where it was. We'll close this out. Another thing to with the settings is one that's called layer. So layers is like, if you can think about it like stacking papers, you have your base canvas paper here, which is white. You can also change the background. We can change the color. We can do red. We can do like yellow or whatever else color you want. For the sake of the video, we'll keep it white and we'll keep it right there. Another thing is on the sides here, you can tick this off or tick it back on. And the layer over top is actually transparent, which is see-through, or you can't see it. But the thing is that when you draw on top of that layer, let's put this nice little squiggly line right there. I can tick this on and off, and it's going to do that because it's on its own separate layer, which is pretty cool. Then I can hit this plus button. We can go ahead and let's say we want to grab green, right? And we'll grab another squiggly line and we'll make sure it's on its own transparent layer. And I'm going to stack that on top of that black squiggly line. So now we have two lines, squigglies. We can take away the one at the bottom, or we could take the one at the top away. Or if you want to get real crazy, we can merge them both down and take them both away. Depends on whatever you're feeling. But the cool thing is that working in layers allows you to stack and create different effects, different things that you would never even know or you couldn't do any other way, because you'd either have to use a lot of erasing, or it doesn't give you any freedom to be creative and, allow yourself to fail and come back and like always redo and undo, which is the power and benefit of using digital. Plus you save a lot of paper and save the trees. Anyway, so let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and delete that now. So that's a quick rundown of exactly how to stack layers and merge them together. So another thing, let's go ahead and we'll change this up. Let me just add a little something onto this canvas. Cool. All right, so we have the eraser. And the eraser and the brush are very similar, and in the sense that you can pick from the wheelhouse of brushes, or you can pick from the same wheelhouse, but we're going to turn them into erasers. So what I mean by that is, if I were to choose an eraser and I want it to have like the ability or the same effect of a studio pen, I attach it as a studio pen and it becomes an eraser. So now I'm erasing as if I was using a studio pen, or I can erase as if I'm using this effect. Pretty cool, right? So you can have different styles of erasers all in the same wheelhouse of all of your brushes. So you can pick and choose the which way and how you want to start erasing your stuff. Another cool tip is if you hit your two fingers and you hit it on the screen, it'll hit the undo button. If you don't want to do that, not a big deal. You can come over here to the left and you can kind of redo, or you can undo by just tapping on those. And let's go over here to the smudge tool. So smudge is exactly what you think it is. You put some paper, or you put ink or something on a canvas like we're doing here, and I just take my thumb and I smudge it. It'd be the same exact thing as me doing that. So I'm just pulling that dark right out of it and I'm smearing it off to the side. I can also bring up the opacity, which is like the density and the amount of pressure that I'm using to smear, and I can just smear a big glob of it, rather than if I were to reduce the opacity and I'm doing it really lightly, it would take me a couple more strokes to be able to really create that same effect. So let's go ahead and use two of our fingers. We'll bring that back to where it was when it was just that little egg shape. Okay, so that's smear. And now we have, of course, our brushes. We have a whole lot of brushes, actually. We have a whole wheelhouse of these things, and they're all categorized, which is really cool. So we have our like sketches, like our sketching brushes. Let's go ahead and grab, let's say, soft pastel. Let's go ahead and we'll get rid of that circle, and we're just kind of, let's make it not so soft. Let's add a little bit of soft pastel. And if you notice, these brushes have like this nice gritty texture to them, which makes using Procreate like a dream. And that's because a lot of the issue with digital art is that things look too digital, looks too like fake or AI, and it doesn't look and doesn't hold its same substance as if you were to like use watercolor in real life or acrylic and oil in real life. And it's like the hardest thing to do in the digital world is to make things be fake but look real. Like, how do you do that? And they did an excellent job of adding these kind of grits and textures through your brushes that actually simulate real life. So that's let's keep going with all this. So we got our sketches. We could even do, let's use Procreate pencil. And now this is like the pencil version. And they're like, some of these are actually like pressure sensitive. So if I were to like take my hand and really like put pressure on it, it becomes dark. If I were to maybe turn my pencil itself 45 degrees, I can actually start blending in a 45-degree kind of manner. And I can do it really lightly, and it would just kind of know by my pressure sensitive how light I plan on going with this, which is really cool. Gives you a lot of room and playroom to have fun with these things. So I'm just going to kind of skip through some of these. Then we got airbrush. Airbrush is great. By the way, you can take your finger, pinch it, and you can like make this canvas smaller. You can rotate it left and right. Okay, so let's go. We'll use our airbrush real quick. So airbrush is like this really nice, soft little effect. And it's really cool because I can like do this little circle, right? I can grab this, let's say we want to use white, and I can actually just start creating this nice, almost like as if the light was hitting on a ball. And since the airbrush is so soft, you can get these really nice, really picture perfect, almost like gradients. And by the amount of pressure that I do, I can almost simulate a ball being hit by light in a matter of seconds because it's such a nice, easy vibe and feel for that ball. Or that we're using the airbrush, for example. So let me go ahead and we'll back all this up and bring it back to where it was. So overall, that's exactly how the brushes all work. You got ones for industrial too, which is like another type of texture that you can add. And if you want to get really, really crazy, you can actually create your own brushes by coming over here and designing exactly how much dynamic, how much wetness to it. Like if you're doing like oil painting or watercolor, it is super, super incredible exactly how you can actually do that. So let's see here. So we got that. We can add our new things. All right, so let's get out of the brushes for just a minute and let's go over to the other side up here at the top left.